Hi everyone, Raquel here from scrapcosy. Today I'm going to show you how to create this tag. This is basically a demo on how to use Infusions in different ways. So you can play around with it in different ways and you can get the most of it. Okay, so I'll start introducing Infusions. You probably know about this if you already follow me, but if not, well, Infusions are a dye powders mixed with walnut crystals. They react with water and they the walnut crystals and the dyes dissolve at different rates, so you can basically play around with them and create different effects depending on what you do. So for this tag, we're going to use two of my stamp sets. I'm going to use this part, the collage of ESC18 that I designed for PaperArtsy, as well as this piece of script that we will stamp in Grunge Paste. Okay. So I'm using just a tag that I cut out of a piece of smoothy heavy paper, and then I'm going to stamp with a waterproof ink. I'm going to use Versafine Clear Fallen Leaves by Fresco. Okay, so I'm going to ink up very well my stamp, making sure that it's fully covered with ink. You can tell that because, well, it's shiny now. Yep, so I'm going to stamp in the middle of the tag. And I'm going to press and leave it sit there for a while to make sure that it makes good contact and all the ink is transferred. So I'm taking my time to make sure that that's the case, and then I get a good impression. If you are not very good with it, or if you think you may miss doing that, then you can use a stamping platform, which will allow to re-ink and re-stamp again in the same position. Otherwise, just take your time. Then yes, you get a good impression basically. Yeah. So what I'm going to do now is applying Infusions. So basically they come without this little hole. You need to make that hole and remove the piece of foam that it's inside. So then basically it acts like a salt and pepper thing. And you need to apply it this way. So you would put some on top of your craft sheet, and then we're going to just apply some spritz of water on top so you can see how it reacts. If you apply very little, then you get this sort of effect. If you apply much more, then you get that other effect. Yeah, and then you could basically blob it with a piece of towel, paper towel, or with towel, and you can see that the light soft, it gets a softer version of color, whereas if you set it with a heat tool, you get a very dark color. Yeah. Okay, so the thing that you can do with it is basically you could watercolor with it as well. So you could put some infusions there, some water, get a brush, and then you mix that color and you can basically paint your surface and do some watercoloring. And another thing that you could do is, instead of water, you could use a medium. So basically something like Satin glaze by PaperArtsy would work, or a gel medium as well, that would work too. So I'm just applying a tiny bit of glaze, very little, because my surface that I'm going to paint is very, very small, and just a tiny bit of Infusions. That's almost nothing. Yeah, I'm going to make sure that my brush is very, very dry, so then I don't get any of that water, and then I will get that drop and mix it. I put very little, so then you can see that this color is very light at first, and to dissolve very well all the pigments of the colors, so then those yellows and pinks are actually dissolved, and also the walnut crystals, and then I get this lovely vintage pink, which is super light. Yeah, so I'm going to use that for the mug, and then I'm going to just apply it like that. And this is super soft color that I used. Oops, I think I picked a random color over there that was not dissolved very well. And you can basically apply it like that, and you would get a very soft pink version. Or you could do different layers. So once you apply one, then you can come and apply another layer, and then you build up layers of color one on top of the other. Yeah. You could also mix a bit more of infusions and put more glaze, because I put too little. Let me tell you why, because this is the third time that I record the video. Well, that I attempt to, because my GoPro was doing some weird things and it was not recording it, so I decided to use less glaze this time. It was too far less. Okay, so now you can see, oh, I think that here a lot of yellow came. Okay, so if you mix a bit more, then you can basically get a darker color. It's basically, I like to unload the brush a little bit so I don't get so much, and then you can compare, and then basically you get a darker, much darker version of that red, and then you can paint more. If you think that that's too much, then you can always get some part of it there and then get some glaze, mix it, so then you'll get a different tone of color. Okay, well, I'm just quickly, for the sake of it, going to paint a little bit that, just to have it. Okay, and then I'm going to add a bit more on those just to make them darker, and this one as well. And yeah, let's call it done. Okay, so that's another way of using it. And now I'm going to do a different thing, which is going to be using Grunge Paste, and we're going to basically stamp on top of it with a stamp that will create some holes where I can basically afterwards apply infusions on them, and they will look very nice. Okay, you could also use infusions to actually tint this this Grunge Paste. Grunge Paste is a texture paste based on plaster, and you can basically add some color to it by different ways. I mean, one is adding infusions, the other one is adding paint, so you have many ways to do it. Okay, so I just added that there. You can see the infusions over there. They are reacting now because when I put there, I didn't spritz all over, apparently. Some of them became a bit dry, so then now they're starting to get mixed, but that's okay. It's going to look very nice. So now I'm going to get this stamp, and then I'm going to apply some water as a releasing agent, so basically, so I don't get so much of that Grunge Paste on it, and then it will be easier to clean afterwards. So just like that, and then I'm going to stamp on it. As you can see, I'm getting some marks over there, and it becomes, well, those holes become there, so I can basically now, I heat set just a little bit. That's one thing that you can do with Grunge Paste. You can heat set and it will not blister, so that's very good. And you can move on to the next stage, and that's very good as well. I like it. So now I'm going to apply some infusions on top of it. Yeah, and I'm gonna add there a lot, yeah. And I'm gonna make it drop, and they will fall into the holes, highlighting the letters. You can apply as much water as you need. So I'm just doing that there, and then, well, I really like also that the Grunge Paste holds some water there and there, so on those corners. I like that very much. So you could just, well, leave it like that. Yeah, that's very nice. Well, I like it. Also, what you can get that dark thing basically with a splatter brush or some sorts, and then basically get splatters over your surface as well if you want it. If you want darker, you can do darker. Yeah, and then just add some of those splatters here and there. Yeah, you can hit set if you can remove a little bit if you don't want that much. And yeah, and another thing that I wanted to show you is that you can use some paint and you can create like a pastel effect. So I'm going to add that over here basically. So I'm gonna get some chalk paint. This is by PaperArtsy as well. This is an acrylic paint, it's white. And I'm going to add that there. And then I'm going to just add some infusions on top. Some water. And then what you can do is in this order or a different one, doesn't matter. So basically you're going to start applying some here and there, and then that creates like a marble effect and different effects with your infusions. You can always apply a bit more if you want, and a bit more water, and they start moving in the ink, I mean in the paint, and then they create, look at that color, it's beautiful. So you could cover more areas, and that creates that pastel effect. Yeah, over there. So some splashes there, and that's like a very soft pink, which I like very much. Okay, and every time that you kind of repeat these over and over, well, you'll get different results. So as you can see, this one was kind of paler in the center, different colors, very, very distinct. And while the one that I did before, well, is more muted tone, I don't know, and not as contrasting. So there you go. That's the sample for today, and I hope you like it. Well, another thing that you could do while the thing is wet, you could also apply a little bit there and then let it run. And it kind of cracks and works its way through the paint, and it's a bit different to the paper, but you can do all sorts of things. And look at that pastel color, isn't that nice? There you are. Okay. So that was all for today. I hope you like it, and thanks very much for watching. Bye!